Well, you know where you're at if you've tuned in. Yes, I'm still a little hoarse, not a little pony, a little horse, and that's Eric. It's the West Virginia Live channel and the voice of college football. Eric and I met with the head muckety muck at the voice of college football, the Mark Rogers. And it was great meeting. We're motivated to bring you more product, better product, and so is the West Virginia University, right?
Absolutely, My Little Pony.
Oh yeah, I love those My Little Ponies. But so I see Grumpy's in the house, and we got a few other folks. But so today we're going to talk about, is college football playoff broken or is it just right? We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about also who was left out. Eric's going to bring up the fact that there are folks opting out of bowl season. They're like, not for me. We don't have the players. We don't have the time. We don't have the money. It's not worth it. We're going to talk about that. And then Thursday's show is going to be titled. Ready? Thursday's show is going to be titled. It might be a different time because Eric and me have to get our schedules together. But title of Thursday's show is, remember Video Killed the Radio Star? Well, NIL killed the bowl season. Eric, usually, we'll just start off with this. Usually, this time of the year, you would be excited as a West Virginia fan if you had the opportunity to go to a bowl. So, Eric, what are your thoughts? If you had an opportunity as a West Virginia fan to go to a bowl, you'd be all about it, but not so fast, right?
Absolutely. WVU has always been a program that has traveled remarkably well. I remember being, a kid in Morgantown growing up, and the talk was, always, were we going to be bowl eligible? And it didn't matter where you went. Half of Morgantown, half of, well, not the state, but probably close to it seemed like, was going to go somewhere. And like, were you going to go, south to, a beach location? Were you going to head to the mountains maybe? But, it was a matter of who all was going. Always a big time. I think that's, that's something that the NCAA needs to figure out. Are they going to look at protecting that kind of fan enthusiasm, that kind of fan participation? Of course, that was before the day of big TV contracts, NIL, transfer portal, the era that we are now in of professional college athletics.
Well, West Virginia, as we know, had 18, maybe 19 players that could not play for some reason or other. Most of them were injuries towards the end of the season. And that is absolutely crazy. If you were to tell me, Eric, before the season that West Virginia would be playing with fourth and fifth string personnel, I'd tell you you're crazy. But we're going to get into some of the personnel later in the show. But Eric, I'm going to pull this up. This is crazy. I can't remember where I put it. Oh, it's right here. So, as you guys know, they changed the college football playoffs to fix it. Right? And we all think it's maybe better, maybe worse. But one thing Eric and I probably will agree with you all in the chat is this is missing Notre Dame. And we are both very pleased that Notre Dame is sitting out watching this. And what a bad look. If you haven't been watching the news or YouTube or you live under a rock, Notre Dame basically took their ball, their sand pail, their shovel. They not only crapped in the sandbox, they didn't even cover it up, and they just left with their ball and their sand pail. And guys, they're saying no, we don't want to go to any bowl if we can't go to college football playoffs. Eric, give me your real thoughts on Notre Dame. Don't hold back.
Well, now that you've kind of tipped my hand, Notre Dame has always, it is one of the most appreciated programs in the country, if not the most.
Yeah.
Year in, year out, preseason, they are always given the benefit of the doubt, and the rankings always start off very high in the rankings. They always have a fantastic recruiting class, and in particular with the recruiting class, that is a good reflection of their university. They have a very well respected university, and deservedly so. I will give them that. The problem I've had is that kind of royal treatment is extended year in, year out, even if the results on the field don't manifest. And to me, that's always been wrong. So the notion that that they get rewarded for not playing in a championship game, that's just really bothered me. They know that they have an incredible fan base and that TV, markets they can draw from. They have a strong interest. They don't have to belong to a conference. They're going to get the contracts. They're going to get the favoritism. This is the first time I'm seeing that didn't happen. And quite honestly, I think it's been a while coming.
It's like a heavyweight fighter, maybe dropping a little bit of weight and then picking their opponents so they get a title fight. That's pretty much what Notre Dame has been doing the past couple of years. I don't know if you follow boxing or UFC or anything, but legitimately, guys, you can't pick your opponents. And that's basically what Notre Dame does. Now, BYU is left off of here. We talked a little bit before, Eric. Let's talk to the chat about JMU, Tulane. Those are the two outliers. I don't think if they're Cinderella, they got a wrong size shoe. They're at the wrong ball, wrong dress, wrong everything. I'm sorry that these two are in, and BYU, who only lost both games to Texas Tech, is out. That's the only heartburn I have, really.
Well, can we take us from a different angle?
Shoot.
Let's see what they got right. The selection committee has a rough job, and I will grant them that.
Right.
No matter what you do, you're going to make some people upset. There's going to be somebody who deserved to get in, and you just couldn't quite find room. And to me, I saw things of elements of that in this selection, but I also saw some things that to me, moving forward, if I'm the NCAA and the product on the field, regardless of who's playing on the field, is my product, you want to make sure that product is as good as it can be so that you're drawing the most audience, whether it's ticket sales or whether it is TV contracts. I'm not seeing that happen in this selection. So what did they get right? I think very few people are going to have a problem with 1 through 4. Quite honestly, you could probably pick 1 through 4 and shuffle them around a little bit, and most people are still going to agree. I don't care what you rank them, 1 through 4 deserve to be there. There's no question.
And let me interject real quick with a rabbit hole. Guys, you're thinking, why, Shane? Eric, why Shane and Eric have this college football playoff bracket when West Virginia doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell this year, maybe next year, of being in the playoffs? Let me remind you. Excuse me. We celebrate the success of other Mountaineers. Okay. The fact that Indiana has Kurt Signetti, who is, from Morgantown, his dad coached here, coached up the road in Pennsylvania for a while, then to James Madison, up at IUP. He was Nick Saban's assistant. He's one of us. We need to celebrate the fact that he, was the David to beat Goliath at Ohio State, and he did it within 2 years. It's unheard of, unprecedented, and he's one of us. He didn't get the love that he probably should have. Didn't even really get looked at for the West Virginia job a couple years ago. And people are sour grapes. Like, well, he should have. I wish he'd went to West Virginia. We didn't offer it to him. We missed out on him. But I'm not gonna, wish him ill will, because whenever a Mountaineer successful, whether it's Pat Mack, Kurt Signetti, we got to wish them well. So that's my little kumbaya moment for the college football playoff. You guys, literally, if you don't have anybody root for him. I mean, he talks like us. If you talk or if you reference something, he'll know what the hell you're talking about because he's one of us. But anyways, Eric, first four, there's no problem, right?
Well, absolutely. And just to piggyback on your statement, in addressing the media after that big win for their program, and that's a huge win for Indiana's program, historic, in fact. He mentioned Morgantown in his, you know, in his coaching, in his coaching upbringing. So appreciated that. Appreciate the Signetti family, the entire family. They were a big part of Morgantown and WVU back in the 70s. Great coaching family lineage. Also, to mention your affiliation with West WVU, how does this affect us? Look, Texas Tech is part of the Big 12. So, them doing well, that only does good for us. So all these things, there are, how should I say, West Virginia consequences, if not connections. So moving on to number 5. Again, I don't think anybody's going to have heartburn with, Oregon or Texas A&M. I'm sorry, Ole Miss is one I need to get to, but Oregon, they got that right. Texas A&M, they got that right. Ole Miss. Look, Florida State a few years ago, I don't know if actually I forgot to research this, but in recent history, Florida State was left out of the college football playoffs because they lost a key player. And we're losing a head coach here. Ole Miss is losing their head coach, who is, one of the hottest coaches right now in college football, like him or not.
Yeah.
And they lost key staff. And you're going to include them in here as number 6? I have strong concerns over that. It's completely inconsistent. Quite honestly, and I'm not, down on Ole Miss. I have trouble including them. If you're going to include them, I don't see them getting included as number 6. Moving on, we said A&M belongs. I still stick with that. Here's the next heartache I have. 8 and 9. We need to set a rule in this, even if it's an unofficial rule. Having 2 teams from a conference in the playoffs is a huge accomplishment. Having 3, wow, that ought to be rare, because your 2 best teams from your conference probably should have faced off against each other in the championship. But maybe they were both phenomenal. Well, okay, so that means you have 3 phenomenal teams? Maybe. 5? Guys, we have a bias here. This is a bias. And so the fact that you included Ole Miss, no harm, no foul with the coaching change. 8 and 9, Alabama and Oklahoma. I was okay if you left out both of them. No disrespect to either one of those programs, but you're having to make hard decisions here. If you're going to pick one, pick one. You don't pick both. Because if you lose one of those, then that makes room for a team that should have been here, and that's BYU. BYU is my first team that I felt was left out, and that is because they had the strongest strength of schedule in the teams that were left out, and they had an even higher strength of record. Their strength schedule was 22. Their strength of record was number 9. They had 2 losses, both to Texas Tech, but they had improved in their second showing against Texas Tech. They absolutely got left out. To me, that's wrong. We'll get to Notre Dame. Miami. I thought this was rightfully earned. They were a great program. Good representative from the ACC. That's a good pick. They probably should have been a little bit higher, quite honestly. I'm going to insert here.
Eric, you got to mention the fact that Duke won the ACC at 8 and 5, and were lukewarm hot garbage.
Yep. Quite honestly, you had 2 potential candidates I thought you could have brought in from the ACC. Miami, to me, was the most deserving. Virginia, you could have made an argument. But yeah, the fact that you had the champion of the ACC not ranked in the top 25, I don't believe they were ranked.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they're
that
40.
eliminated them from consideration.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, don't need to pick on ACC too much, but here's where I'm going to pick a little bit more on Notre Dame, and I've got friends I'm going to hear from on this. um, Notre Dame should have been in here at this point. The inclusion of Alabama and Oklahoma over Notre Dame is a clear message to me that any biases that Notre Dame may or may not have had in the past, any preferential treatment, whether you believe it's real or just perceived, there's a clear message here. Those who are in control of these decisions, they are preferring to pick an SEC school over a Notre Dame. When things looked somewhat, you had to start making tough decisions, they left Notre Dame out. If I'm Notre Dame, I'm really considering whether the Big Ten, it may be time to go ahead and just join. This is a clear message to me. 11 and 12, Tulane and JMU. I love these picks. I really do. Why? Because they're the everyman. They are the schools that are never even in the breath of discussion in these kinds of events. Here's the problem. If this is big boy football, if you're looking at, we've been arguing about other schools that, could have been in, should have been in. I'm sorry. Tulane and JMU, you don't have the resume. You don't have over the course of the season, you can't compare with some. BYU got left out for these two programs. Tulane had 2 losses.
One would have been okay for Tulane, but they lost to Texas
San
University
Antonio.
San Antonio, and they got beat 48 to like 15. They also lost to Ole Miss. We're going to see a rematch of Ole Miss Tulane, which wasn't competitive. So
45-10.
Terrible, terrible.
So yeah, and I don't mean to pick on Tulane. I would love to see them in. Now I'm going to pick on JMU. JMU had 1 loss. Was it to who did they lose to? Was it Mississippi State?
JMU lost to Louisville.
Louisville. I'm sorry. So
8-5 Louisville, not a great Louisville.
Exactly. Now the loss that Tulane had to Texas San Antonio, I think they were actually ranked at the time, but it wasn't a close game. And so in any case, here's my point that I'm getting to now that I'm kind of punching on programs that don't deserve to be punched on for having great seasons. And quite honestly, I love JMU. Year in, year out, I love kind of following along with them. If we're going to include them in these kind of events, NCAA, it's probably time to expand this field. If it's not time to expand this field, you need to give me a better understanding as to why a BYU doesn't get in over a Tulane or a JMU. Notre Dame for that matter. So it's kind of difficult to kind of cover, an explanation for those sorts of events happening. We talked a little bit about bowl season. And this is kind of a question for the NCAA. Help me understand. And I'm sure there's good reasons for it. I mean, I'm just a youngster, talking to you from his living room. We've got to protect the product. And you're getting a clear message from programs that they don't want to go bowling. That the way the NIL is structured, the way the transfer portals are, scheduled, coaching changes that are being forced to happen earlier and earlier in the season because of these carousels that are moving along, you're hurting your product. And we've got to find a way to make lesser bowls more appealing, more profitable, more beneficial. Expanding the field, you can do that. You can make a bigger field, and these lesser bowls can be part of it. Shane, what are your thoughts on that?
you're spot on. You hit everything out of the park. I mean, the fact that like it just hit me within the past 48 hours that when you sent me that today, and it had 5 Big 12 schools. Let me see if I can remember them. Kansas State, Kansas, UCF, Baylor. Who am I missing?
Iowa State.
Iowa State. All basically said, no to the hell no. We're not going to go bowling. Now, in the chat, who told me that 2 of them were being fined? Big 12's fine and 2. Grumpy Man 4471 said 2 Big 12 teams are being fined for turning down bowl games. I don't know about that, but it sounds legit.
$500K is what I'm hearing.
If you're going to lose that money if it costs you $1.5 million to take the band and the football team to go bowling, you only make $800,000 on it. You're not going to sell any tickets because you got, some kid who's never touched the ball playing. So the fans have no vested interest in seeing someone who has literally never dressed play. Everyone is transferring out. And that leads us in, after we close this segment, we're going to talk about the transfer portal, West Virginia, recruiting, and et cetera. But, 6-7, right? 6-7. I mean, that's what's happening. I mean, there has to be some bumpers put onto this bowling alley. I mean, because we're all over the place. They have to narrow the window, condense it. I think it'll put more stress on the players and the coaches, but the benefits outweigh the stresses. And the stresses will be this. We saw with recruiting that West Virginia might not have got a guy they're going for. And that money was allotted. That pot of money was sitting there for that guy. So they were able to take that money and push it, double down on black, and say, I'm going to go for this guy. You condense that, those decisions are going to be a little bit harder to make. You're going to have to, commit that money. I don't know. This is all speculation right now. I think this bowl season just this abortion of a product that we're gonna have a shit bowl season is gonna push the needle. It's gonna push it, and someone's gonna have to tap out. And college football is gonna go uncle, elbow, arm behind the back. They're gonna tap out because you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Eric, what are your thoughts? I mean, is this what we're seeing here with this playoffs and the bowl season? Is it pushing us to basically there's going to be some tighter, windows?
Shane, I think we're all over this. And here's the sad news. I don't think I was really hoping that we were geniuses and we were well ahead of the curve. I don't think we are.
No.
I think everybody sees this. Now, I think the other thing too, we've got to keep in mind, how do you turn around an aircraft carrier?
Can't do it.
Well, not quickly is the answer. It's going to take some time.
And just sitting there with Shane's hands floating doggy paddle. That's basically what's happening right now.
Exactly.
It's a long time for us to make that adjustment as football fans.
That's what we're seeing. And I think the NCAA, look, my mom always said I was smart, but she also said I was good looking. So I'm not sure that mom was telling me the whole truth. But, the notion that there's really intelligent people who are at the helm of this, this carrier that we're fascinated with, they understand that there's a lot going on here that they've got to remedy, but they're trying to pick their battles and they're trying to do things. But yeah, I just want, I think we all see it. This bowl season, I think is shocking everyone that look with tighter budgets because of NIL deals and the increased pressure on competition. You can't afford to take your team bowling and kind of use that as a write-off that, well, look, we got extra number of practices in. We got these benefits because it was a vacation for our fans. and they loved it. They traveled to some location and they had a great time. Uh, it's getting difficult to make that sell when you know, like you mentioned, let's say you're going to lose 800K on going to a bowl game, roughly speaking. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of top shelf players that you are now saying we're not going to have. It's difficult to do that.
No, you
But
can't just.
anyway, buddy, all this discussion of, you know, bowling, college playoffs, how do we fix this stuff, has us look into the future. So speaking of looking to the future, let's talk about West Virginia's future and our recruiting class. We
Oh
got a
man,
lot to talk about.
I gotta got chat, Eric. You guys don't understand. Like, it's been 5 days since they've got a Terry kid, that monster running back, the 4-star, and my jaw is just getting back for my bottom lip touching my top lip because my mouth was just open. That I can't believe they pulled him off. I mean, Matt Sig was a huge surprise for me, and I almost like had like a whimper cry, like, but for crying out loud, when I saw this kid's video, I literally had a as I call Western Pennsylvania yinsgasm, like a Myron Cope. Uh, it was amazing. This guy is fast. He's a freak. I'm trying to be nice. I mean, he's just a big 6 foot, 230-pound handful. He's a downhill, just all the catch turns, he is a smart football player too. I think he has like fourth gear, not like fifth or sixth gear, but he's so powerful he can plow through. And this is someone that West Virginia really hasn't seen. Saw a little smidgen of it with Ty Edwards, but this will change West Virginia's program. And why I say that, bear with me. Programs that are successful, Eric, NFL, NCAA, they get into position in the fourth quarter. You don't want to give the ball back and give them an opportunity to score. You want your offense to control the tempo in the ball, grind it out, control the clock, possession. And good teams have that. And that's the difference between a 10-win team and a 12-win team when you get deep into the season. Having a back like this kid just changes everything. It also, we're all over the place. This guy was the guy that made Jaheim White think he might transfer. Eric, what are your thoughts?
So your microphone kind of cut out. This is Latimer, right? I think.
Yeah, Latimer.
So
for crying out loud, I get his
no,
height.
you said it, but your microphone kind of cut on you a little bit. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Think of the effect that C.J. Donaldson had coming into the game. We had never seen him, before against Pitt, a number of years ago. It was a game changer. And so I'm going to jump on, the statement that you made. This is the difference between a 10-win team and a 12-win. This is the difference between an 8-win team and potentially a 12-win team. I completely agree. This guy's got a great combination of speed and strength, just powerful runner, like you said, a Ty Edwards. And that's a great example right there. We saw the difference between having Ty Edwards in the Pitt game versus not.
Here's the thing. We talked about it about 6 weeks ago. We're like, let's talk about recruiting a little bit. West Virginia sits about 40 on average, 38 to get in the 30, but they're looking good. I couldn't imagine then, and I can't imagine now, that West Virginia via rivals. Other sources say West Virginia's maybe 26. But Rivals has West Virginia at 20. That puts them really in a good position at the end of signing day. And I think Uh, 24/7 Sports, I think, has them in maybe in the top 25, but that puts them in the upper echelon of college football as far as expectations. It's not making do. This isn't putting bodies in uniforms. And that's what Rich Rod had to do. And nothing against the guys that played ball last year. They played their heart out and they gave everything. But on the field, a lot of those games, they looked like they weren't a Power 4 school. These guys are legitimately going to make a name for themselves. I don't care if they come in for a year and ask for a shitload of money and move on. The fact that Rich Rod's able to plug and play right now, and I'll go through some of these guys, but guys, I'm losing my voice, so bear with me. I've been sick on and off for like 2 weeks, and it's just killing me. They have a kid named Keon Hutchins, Eric, and somewhere I read it was 4.2 speed, somewhere 4.3. It doesn't matter. I'm not catching his fast ass. I mean, that's one of the fastest times in college football. And it's been a long, long time. I think about number one. You know who that is? Austin, right?
There you go.
Yeah. So this brings a really deep threat coming out of the JUCO as a wide receiver. Keon Hutchins, man, what lightning in a bottle, and the ability to take off and just outstretch the defense, along with Amari Latimer, who's just a freak monster, big dude. What
about
there's 47 others to talk about, but I mean, I'm so excited about those two. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, let me ask you, because you've been talking about a guy that I hadn't appreciated, but I went and looked at some of his film, and you're right. He's a sleeper. Who's the quarterback that you're so high on?
Oh, what was
The
his
California
name?
boy.
Yeah, I think I think Penn State signed him.
No, you said he's being delivered by UPS.
Oh,
What could Brown do for us?
his backup.
Not Max Brown, the quarterback from California. I thought his name was Brown, but he is very fast. He's another guy who's got lightning fast speed. He's going to be a threat to run the option.
Let's see here.
I think he's only a 3-star.
Oh, okay. Okay, I had him on my list. I thought he was signed, so I crossed him off.
Wyatt? Is it Wyatt?
Oh, that might be it. Let me look at my targets, kids. But you got that Sir Paul Cheeks. I mean, that sounds like a Paul McCartney song. I mean,
he's going to get 1,000 yards on his name alone.
you know, I'm trying to think of who that kid is from California. I don't see him on my list, but
he's still. I mean, he's signed with us, right?
I don't know. I don't see him on my list. But I have highlighted here Trey McLaughlin as fast as shit.
Now he's the kid from Louisiana, right?
He's from Oklahoma, and I guess he's a track that plays linebacker. And he's not going to come here to the summer. That's what I've heard. I mean, the fact you have a guy that's that big that is running track, and that's a fast dude. But I'm looking here. Here are my notes for him. He is one of the Oklahoma's top tier linebackers to watch. He led Bixby to a 12-0 record and their 6A1 championship. Their defense only gave up 12 points a game.
Wow.
He had 180 tackles, 8 sacks. What a stud. And he is fast. Man. Excuse me. Well, thanks for staying with me when I'm sick as a dog here. But, Eric, who else are you thinking of that just blows your mind that West Virginia landed And any thoughts on players that might be kind of testing the waters? Because they could come back.
So I'm going to come back again, Kevin Brown. It all starts on the offensive line for your offense, and any Rich Rodriguez team offense is the story. If we don't get Kevin Brown, I don't know that he was the foundation. And when you look at his film, oh my goodness, he's very intelligent, gave a great interview, but he's brutal on the field. He just manhandled his opponents and pancaked so many of them. Not only that, but you saw him making 2 or 3 blocks on running plays. Didn't just make one block and call it a play. He's phenomenal. You've mentioned Sig. Sig is a guy that his speed on defense is phenomenal. He's going to arrive to the ball from either the bandit or the safety position, and he's going to get there in a bad mood. He's going to devastate people because he's bringing momentum. Of course, Latimer, our receiving core is looking tremendous. Running backs, we have multiple. That does bring into question who's coming back. And I don't blame Jaheim White because he said who's going to be testing the waters. I don't blame Jaheim. He's a tremendous back. He is legit power forward, and he's got the potential to make all conference honors. So he may come back. Would he get more carries going somewhere else? That is highly likely. So that's probably why he's testing the waters. Dior Hubbard, I was really looking forward to him coming back.
Yeah.
He really came on at the end of the season. He's probably doing the same. I could see him coming back as well. I don't know that both would come back, but definitely one or the other. Do you want me to go on about defense, or do you want to move over?
Hit defense up. Go ahead.
Defense, our defensive linemen, I didn't think we needed that much on the defensive line because, quite honestly, I thought our defensive line did, held its own this year. And at times I thought our linebackers did well, but we didn't have the depth. That's what really killed us this year. We kept losing people. And because of that, we couldn't get pressure. They've added some monsters on defense, guys who are gigantic. You're talking guys who are 6'7", 6'8". They're monstrous.
Big, long guys.
Yeah. And we've added numerous guys like that. The secondary, oh my Lord, we're adding guys who are, 6'4", somewhere in that. That is NFL prototype size right there. And you saw them this year. We got hurt by length because the quarterback play in the Big 12 is that good. You've got guys that can just absolutely, hit a fly from, 40 yards at the throw. So, range, length on your DBs is much more important now. We've added that. So it's no wonder this class is rated so high. I'm wondering if Ben Cutter's going to stay. I'm hoping he's not going to test the waters because I think he's someone that will definitely, he knows the system. He's been playing since he was a true freshman. He's been doing great. I hope he sticks around. Something I'll just throw out and maybe you can do something with in a little bit here. We're talking about it, like you mentioned, a top 20 ranking in recruiting. That is the best class we've ever had here at WVU. There's no question about it. This is a tremendous class. Here's the crazy thing. We haven't even gotten into the transfer portal. We have 49 players that are phenomenal, and we haven't even gotten to the transfer portal. One thing I was going to ask you, and I mentioned one little thing there you can maybe take and run with. Excuse me, the other was quarterbacks. Do you think I think we've added Scotty Fox is tremendous.
Wyatt Brown, I think, is the guy you're talking about. Wyatt Brown.
That's from California.
Yeah.
And I think he could do, if I was watching some of his film, how is this guy only a 3-star?
Yeah.
He's
6'2", 185. They're going to put some meat on him. Fast enough to kind of get out there on the outside. Legitimate, good. Hell, they signed a punter from Australia. I mean, everybody. It's just like everybody needs a punter from Australia, right?
Real quick, that Wyatt Brown, I saw him. They had a called quarterback draw. He drops back, and he's not only fast, he's quick, which means he can get to that top speed in a hurry.
Yeah.
He literally dropped back in a quarterback draw. They ran it to perfection. The middle of the field opened up. Now, the thing about that quarterback draw is usually you have your receivers jetting down the field to try to pull their defenders with them. What that means is by the time your quarterback gets that second level, the defense is already collapsing back on him. He was so fast. He ran up the middle faster than the defense could collapse back in around him. The camera couldn't even keep up with him.
Yeah.
He ran through beyond the camera range. It was already through the end zone. The closest guy to him, and it was probably like a 70-yard run. By the time he was through the end zone, there wasn't anybody within 20 yards of him. He's got to be running 22 miles an hour.
And then that's what they're clocking at McLaughlin at, the kid that's Trey McLaughlin, from Bixby. He's 6'2", 195. And with these heights of guys, they have my kid listed one week at 5'9", next week at 5'11". He's probably 5'10". So it changes. Unless they're measuring them at these camps they come into, we really don't know what these heights and weights are. For crying out loud, I'll give you an example. This is NFL though. Number 80, tight end, big guy, Darnell Washington for the Steelers, had a list of 265. Was on a podcast a week ago, said he was 311. So you never know how big or how small these guys are until you see them on the field. Like John Johnson, they have him listed 6', 180. That's pretty much like the standard height and weight for an athlete. I don't know if the kid looks taller than that when I watched him on film. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. A lot of these guys are longer. Like Bob Huggins, you say, he likes the length. When we had guys coming in to watch, recruits, it was said on another podcast. I think not three guys, but can't remember what it was. They were listening to the recruits talk. And they weren't literally saying, our secondary is dog shit. They were saying, he's just a little too step behind. He's not long enough. I could cover that. Oh, they just need the bigger backs, defensive backs. That's music to my ears because, legitimately, we talked about last week. You have longer arms, cover more length. It's just your reach. I mean, they talk about it in boxing. They talk about it in basketball a lot. They don't talk about it enough in football. Now, offensive linemen, they like the nice long arms, but son of a gun, I like a D-back or a wide receiver that has arms that can kind of get that push off. And I think not only they have one, two, but they've got three defensive backs that have that length is just downright amazing. Eric, there's so many commits here. We're going to have to do a show where we just go one by one because we've talked about probably 8. We didn't talk about Darius Wiley or Anton Sharp or Cameron Dwyer or Cade Bush, who's a tight end. I mean, there's lots of guys here that aren't getting our love. So I might ask, see if Mountaineer Paul wants to come on and we'll do do a recruiting wrap up, like a roll up, because guess what happens January 2nd? Yeah, it's the day after freaking New Year's Eve, but that's when the portal opens up again. And here we are all again, think you're going to see some pieces move out of the West Virginia. And that's why today's show is staying or going. We've got a lot of running backs coming in. We've got a lot of running backs leaving, but Eric, we used 5 running backs this year. 5. Not 6 or 7, but 5. Can they carry 6 or 7? I don't know. But after last year, I don't know. What do you do? Now, the quarterback situation. There were some rumors that, they're floating around. Certain people are coming in and out. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on the quarterback situation. We'll have to wait and see also. We kind of got tickled and teased on the Chris Henry Jr. We said unlikely. It just he's kind of like acknowledging, instead of just being there, we're not, just kind of playing along. But it's nice to have that hope that maybe that might have happened. He's going to be a game changer. He's going to be playing for Ohio State. We'll be able to watch him. Once again, best wishes to him. His dad was a Mountaineer. Now, if it's your kid, I don't give you as much grace as if you're like actually played ball here or went to school here or lived here. But, the situation is his dad died when he was young. Pac-Man kind of stepped in and helped out. But when he went on Pat Mac, I'm like, maybe there's a little chance. But no, Pat Mac is like, oh, you're going to Ohio State. Good for you. Eric, any thoughts before we close out the show?
But I want to say thank you. I know you have not felt well at all. And thanks for being a trooper and coming on and gutting it out. I love the idea that we bring Mountaineer Paul on. His breakdown of talent, he's great at breaking down film. He'll do an amazing job. I cannot wait for what Rich Rod and those who are supporting him are bringing to this program. I think next year could be a huge turnaround, and in 2 years, it could be something special, something uniquely special.
And you know what? We talked a little bit. Once in a while, we talk about basketball, but there hasn't been much to talk about because they've been kind of not looking too good. Hopefully, they turn it around. That was the high point of for a while. Like, hey, basketball's going to be good this year. I'm hoping they go 500 in the Big 12. Girls basketball looking good. Sports in general for the Mountaineers are in good hands. But with that, I'm going to just, before my voice totally just craps out. I mean, I'm feeling better. It's just my voice is shit. And then, gets tickly and you want to just drink water and everything. But no joke, this flu has lasted like a little over a week. But feel good. Just the voice is a little crackly. I think maybe I should smoke some cigars and drink some whiskey and just have sexy voice all the time, right? Like, hey, what are you doing? But guys, so the show, West Virginia Live, you can, if you can't read, well, I'm going to help you read. Host of West Virginia Live is myself, Shane. Co-host, Eric. And we're live 9 p.m. Mondays, 8 p.m. Thursdays. I'm also on the Steelers Dynasty podcast, 10 p.m. on Mondays, 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. So, Eric, I don't know if you're a Steelers fan. Steelers are like a yo-yo, up and down. Only consistency is people are just hating on Tomlin. But that's all everybody ever talks about is how much they want a new offensive coordinator, this, that, or the other. West Virginia's in a good spot because we got the coach we want, getting the players who want, have the money we need to make the moves, get a couple W's next year, sing country roads, and then we're going to try to get a sponsor, pepperoni roll. So in the chat, if you know of a pepperoni roll, this should be the sponsor of the Voice of College Football West Virginia Live show. Hit us up in the chat and have some fun coupons or something, or do something fun with pepperoni rolls, because we were talking about, let's get a sponsor for the show. We're always end up talking about food, and pepperoni rolls. A warm pepperoni roll is better than a hug. Give me a hug? No, give me a pepperoni roll, a warm pepperoni roll. Are you a hug guy or a pepperoni roll guy?
Pepperoni rolls. Look, I love my hugs, but
Not
you can't beat a warm pepperoni roll.
Diabetes. The hug drinks that come in the, you put the, But hey, we had we had a shootload of people in the chat, a ton, between 6 and 7. But Eric, that's the show I have for tonight. Eric, do you have anything else before we say let's go Mountaineers and play the great state of West Virginia's flag?
I can't wait for Thursday. I know we're going to have to figure out the timing a little bit, but
Yes.
man, this is an exciting time to be a fan. So can't wait, buddy. Looking forward to covering this with you.
Yeah, Thursday we might not be at our 8 o'clock because Eric has something, I have something. We want to kind of work it out. So we might go a little later, maybe just half an hour later, or maybe a little earlier. We'll work it out. But click the notification button, the thumbs up button. We're here for you every week, twice a week, and then in spirit every day, twice on Sundays. But let's go Mountaineers. Recruiting's happening. College football playoffs is happening. And, you know, it's a great time to be a fan.